let's talk through some of the cons, though. Here are some potential drawbacks of Anchor that I suppose none of these are really deal breakers for me, obviously. But so because it is free, you are technically the product. So that means they are collecting data from you about your podcast, about what you do, and then they're using it to, they are ways that they're monetizing it and whatnot. Now, it's kind of like Facebook, okay? Like Facebook is free, yeah, but I mean, they're using your data to sell ads. Yeah. I mean, in a big way, and there's been a lot of privacy concerns there. Now, as far as privacy concerns with Anchor, I haven't heard of anything, but here's my thing about that. You're publishing your voice to the world. Like, what do you have to hide? You know what I'm saying? So, right. I mean, but anyways, I haven't found any like specific privacy violations. Now, the only other thing is that it could change at any moment. So I guess like Anchor could reach out tomorrow to us and say, hey, if you want to keep your podcast, you got to start paying us money. Right. And if they do, then we'll probably pay them money, And so, but here's the thing, because Spotify now owns it, they seem to be really set on keeping Anchor free, at least for the time being, because Spotify is kind of in these what the nerdy people call like the podcast wars with Apple, because Spotify has really taken a lot of, if you will, market share of podcast and audio consumption in general over the past few years, and so they because they own Anchor. Whenever you sign up on Anchor, the place, I mean, you don't even get an option. It automatically, like, that's almost the first one, it puts it on Spotify. Okay. So it just gives Spotify more content, and potentially, even though it will distribute it to Apple, from what I understand, they're making a few agreements with people to make their content exclusive. Hey, you're a bigger podcast, like Joe Rogan, biggest podcast out there. Right. He signed a huge deal with Spotify to where now if you want to listen to what was at least the biggest podcast in the world, you have to go exclusively through Spotify. So all that to say, Spotify is kind of in it to win it, and for that reason, I don't foresee them kind of saying, we're going to make this more complicated than it already is. They do constantly prompt you about incorporating ads because that's one of the ways they make money.
Sure they do.
If you put an ad in your podcast for whatever, they, according to the different listens and whatever, you're going to get a little bit of share of it. They're going to get a little bit of share of it. I will tell you this, you have to have like thousands of listens for it to even matter. So we don't fool with it.
Right.
And even if we could, I don't know if I would because I don't know. It's just not worth it to me.